My name is Ross Hawkins. I'm the director of the Academic Advising and Transfer Center. This is our final academic advisor forum for the spring 2022 semester. Again, thank you all for being here. If you wish to receive Master Advisor credit for attending this advisor forum, please enter your name and department in the chat feature. If you have colleagues who are unable to attend the advisor forum today, it is being recorded and it will be posted on the Mo State Advising YouTube channel within 1 to 2 weeks. If you have others in your areas who have not met the minimum 3 credit hours to renew their Master Advisor status, again, individuals can go to the Mo State Advising YouTube channel and watch any of the previously recorded advisor forums and still receive credit by using the custom submission feature when you log into the advisor certification to check your status. So please know that that is an opportunity for you to share with your colleagues. So now I'm going to do kind of an awkward pause because we have a student who gets these videos formatted for the YouTube channel. So I'm going to pause and then officially read the title of the advisor form, and then I will kick it over to Brian Edmond. Before I do that, I want to thank Brian and those who are presenting today's advisor form. Brian, as you've heard me say before, please share this with your crew. I've had the opportunity to attend numerous conferences over the years, and I always talk about the collaboration that we have at Missouri State between academic advising and computer services, and how you all have such a genuine interest in trying to make things better for us as advisors, as well as for our students. And colleagues from around the nation will tell me that they're jealous because they wish that they had this kind of relationship and have this dynamic between advising and computer services. So thank you to your team, to you for always listening and advocating for us so that we can do what we do to help students. Thank you. Welcome to today's advisor forum, Technology and Advising. This is the second advisor forum that we've had on technology advising this academic year. Today we're going to have the opportunity to hear from Brian Edmond as well as several others to learn more about technology updates, the new web registration system and how that looks different, as well as some updates on our web content management system. Welcome, everyone. Brian, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, thanks, Ross, and thanks for that introduction. And I am also want to say that we know how important advising is on campus. You know, it's a very important interaction with the students, nearly as important or as important as instruction that you get in the classroom. So we're happy to help with that stuff. I will say right away that due to the changing nature of technology, as you will see when we talk through these things, computer services is not the only game in town with technology, and it hasn't been that way for a while. 2 of the people that you're hearing from today are not in computer services. They're in other areas, but they do have technology updates for you. We're just kind of riding on their coattails, or they're riding on our coattails, whatever the case may be, to get this stuff done. So we're happy to be here. We're happy to help. And as we go back toward the end of this presentation, this panel discussion, or whatever you want to call it, we'll give a chance for you guys to ask questions and give us feedback on how we can do better. We sometimes are a little bit isolated from the goings on of the campus. We just kind of get bits and pieces here and there. So we like to hear from you, to hear how things are going and what we can do to make things better. So I have several people that we're going to talk today about some topics. I'm going to switch the agenda up a little bit, as we have one of our participants isn't here yet. So we're going to put it toward the end of the agenda, and then we'll go from there. So Christy Otting is up first. She's going to talk about some computer account management issues that you will probably be encountering as you help students get set up as they come into Missouri State. So Christy, you want to take it away?
Great. Thanks, Brian. I'm going to share my screen here, or attempt to, and get started here. Thank you very much for having me. And my name is Christy. I'm the coordinator of user support area of computer services. My staff manages the computer services help desk. Any front-facing issues or concerns or services that you or students are needing go through us. They also manage the 3 open access computer labs and 9 other computer labs on campus. So we keep really busy, and you might be familiar with some of the other staff who actually come to your offices and help with staff machines as well and issues. So we are always listening for where people are coming across different roadblocks or things that we might try to improve. And one of the things that we have heard a lot about, especially from students, is opportunities to turn things into self-service, different kinds of applications, ways that we can put the power in the hands of the students and the people to be able to make changes and fix things on their own. So what I want to share with you is something you might already be familiar with, but something we rolled out a couple of years ago, which is our IT service portal. We've continued to develop this and make this even more robust as far as a self-service option for ways students can get help. One thing I want to really point out to you guys that I think is most helpful, especially for incoming students, is the tab up here that says new to MSU. This is a one-stop shop for incoming students for all things technology and should answer 99% of their questions, all the way from how do I get an account to whether or not, what computer should I buy? How can I have a television in my residence hall room? It links them to all kinds of resources for them to be able to get answers to those. The other thing about the IT service portal, if you haven't used it before, I highly encourage you to use this as a way to put in an issue or question, because it utilizes automatic routing. So, you know, all those things that we have to keep remembering as to who do I contact for this, and I have an issue with something else, and is there somebody else I need to contact for that? You don't have to be concerned about who you need to contact. If you put in a ticket through the IT service portal, we will automatically route that to the right person in the right group to take care of that issue. So it really speeds up that process and allows you to follow along the process of who has it, kind of that workflow. So it's a great self-service tool, and one that we are hoping to continue to develop and you know, and utilize. Really want to get the word out about that. So one question I have, I'm going to ask a little trivia question. Those of you that have listened to me before know I like to ask a lot of questions to you guys. Of all the tickets that come in through the IT service portal and other ways through computer services, do you have any idea how many tickets that would have been? Like, let's say in the last 12 months. I'm going to try to open this up and see if I can see in the chat if you guys have a guess. Do you, and we can do kind of an over and under. Do you think that it's over 5,000 tickets? How about over or under 10,000? Trying to open this up and see if I can. See what everybody's guessing. Ooh, that's a very precise one. 12, was it 12,007 somewhere? Over. Oh, okay. We've got some that are up there. Some have already kind of know where I'm headed with this. We had in the last 12 months around 25,000 tickets, 24,384 to be precise, and that's as of today in the last 12 months. That includes being closed for most of December. So you can imagine that we keep pretty busy. That's not all through the help desk. Those are not all calls. Those are actually IT support requests that come in People walk into the lab, people call us, people email, people put in tickets. So what do you think would be the highest issue that we hear about? You know, we are computer services, so it makes sense that we take care of computers, right? Software issues, Blackboard, lockdown browser is a big one. Most of you guys have kind of got the gist of it. Oh, or a computer crash. Oh, those are always really sad ones that we hear about. Especially when you've got a term paper on there. But the highest by far are when someone forgets a password. At least 35% of the people that we talk to, they're contacting us because somebody forgot a password. So again, here's a great opportunity to put self-service options in your hands and in the hands of students. So I wanted to show you where you can go to actually update or update your security information is in the account management home screen. And this is where you put in information that you can then utilize to change your own password or unlock your own account without having to contact the help desk. To be able to use this information for that, it's going to log in here, and I have it already up if you want to see what it looks like. You can always go in here and see what you've got registered. You do need to have at least one or at least two of these options: a phone, a non-Missouri State email, or the Authenticator app. And if you have two of those three, then you can change your own password or unlock your own account. So we're really hoping to get that information in the hands of students, especially incoming students, that the best thing that you can do for them to give them the power to help themselves is to get them to register this information in the account security information. I have a handout here that I'm going to make sure is sent to Ross. So you can include this, Ross, in any information, and you can forward this to your students. You can print it out. I'm ready to put up billboards all over campus because I really think that this is one of the best ways that we can help students, especially in those crunch times. A lost password is not the roadblock that you want to come across. So check it out for yourself. If you haven't done this or you're not sure if you have or not, you do have to have two of these three things registered in order for it to work for you. So that is about the self-service password reset. I wanted to show you a little bit more about that account management homepage because there's some other self-service options that we have on here that are really helpful. One is your account information. This is something that was kind of in different places, but we worked with MIS to put it all on one page here for the students so they can see all of their information in one screen. Again, some of this would have been in their acceptance letter, some maybe in an email sent from their department or their college, but here they can go under your account information and see everything, and it's labeled. So if they wonder, well, what are they talking about when they say they need my BearPass login, or what are they talking about with my email address? And why do I have two of those? Well, you don't. You have one email address, and then you have one Office 365 login. So that kind of helps them understand a little bit of what it is they're getting when they're coming to campus and how they would be using that. Speaking of which, there is another great option that we've added for students who are needing to change their email address. In the past, you got to choose an email address alias, let's say, and then once that was chosen, you know, in order to be able to make any changes after that, you'd have to get computer services, IT intervention, and we would have to do that for you. And they have made it a lot easier now. So now you can go to request a different email address. And when you click on that, I'm going to show you that we're about to update this text on this page and there'll be more information. But what I wanted to show you in production is already you can see that I have different options in a drop down. These are the acceptable options. And if I chose to change my address to any of those, it would simply update my primary address to that, update it in the system, check it as my preferred address, and moving on, so no intervention needed. They can do that themselves. I think it does limit them to a 30 days that they can't choose it again for another 30 days. But then if they say, I made a mistake, I want to go back to what I had, you just go back, change that. Let me show you what it looks like in test, because some important information is on here that we're going to put on that page. And some of that is because usually they're contacting information services to change an email address because of certain things that have changed in their name itself, such as their legal name may have changed, or they may want to change it because of a chosen name change. So we're putting that information on the page. If they go to these resources where they make those name changes, including the updating their chosen name, then once that change is done through those systems, through those processes, they can go back and the option that relates to those changes will be available down here. So if they change their last name, then that would be available down here in the drop down, but they need to make those first changes first. So those are the main changes that I had for our self-service options. I can show you right here that we will have updated. Let's go back to our website here, just so that you can see we do have extended finals week hours in our library lab. And those hours are down here. They can scroll down and get to those that we are going to be open until midnight for the majority of finals week, as we normally are. And so they can always come in and use those resources in the library lab. Those are all my updates for today, unless somebody has any questions, or are we gonna or wants to see anything that that I whizzed by kind of fast on those.
They should contact you if they have questions, I assume. So
absolutely, any questions that you have, feel free to reach out.
Okay, perfect. So next up, we have Banner Self-Service 9 and web registration. Shannon Holt is going to be talking about that and showing that. This is a big victory to get this up in Banner, as we haven't talked about this a lot, but every single one of the new applications we bring up in Banner takes an enormous amount of work from our staff and from staff in our business partner offices to try to get these things up and going. You guys see the end result. But the work is actually quite a bit of time. In this case, as Shannon will tell you, we've been investigating this new program for a couple of years, many years even, and it's taken a while to kind of get everything in place to bring it up and going. So I will turn it over to Shannon and let her talk about web registration. Shannon?
Thanks, Brian. And Brian is right. There is a lot that goes into implementing these new systems, and we just want to thank him and his team for their support. Obviously, we could not do this without him. I'm going to share my screen now and actually go through the registration process with you all. I am working in the test portal because I'm not a student at this point, and so I want to be able to show you what the student is going to see. But this is an exact replica of what things look like in the production side of things. So we have a couple of small changes to what students see on the registration tab in their My Missouri State. They now have one link here that says add, drop, or search for classes. And then down here, all of their individual schedule options were combined into one link, and I'll show you why that is in just a moment. So if I'm a student and I want to register, I click on add, drop, or search for classes. If I have not signed my enrollment agreement, I am first going to be directed to the enrollment agreement page so that I can sign that before I can move on to access the registration page. I do want to highlight this. So I am a unique user, as some of you all may be as well, in that I have multiple roles on campus. And so students are not going to see this page unless they happen to be a student who works in an office such as mine, or another office on campus where they do have multiple roles. If they happen to be one of those students, or if one of you happens to have a student role as well, if you are trying to act on your own records, you're always going to want to select the student option here. So when they click on that, it's going to take them to this landing page. And that's why we decided to get rid of several links, because no matter what, it's always going to take them to this landing page. So there was really no reason to have separate links. You will see there's 4 options listed here: AddDrop Classes, which is a replacement for the old AddDrop Classes page; active registration and history. So this replaces the student's active registration page, as well as being a place where they can view current and past concise, detailed, and week at a glance schedules. And then there's the search for classes and the browse course catalog options. These 2 options, I'll just go back real quick, are available on the teaching and advising tab. So if any of you just want to look at the class schedule search, the links have not changed. They're just redirected into this new system. So this will take you into the class schedule search. You'll choose your term, continue, and then you'll be able to select your search options from there. Same with the course descriptions links, and those are available in the faculty services channel as well as the faculty and advisor resources channel. From the student perspective, if I'm wanting to add or drop classes, I'm going to click on that link. It'll direct me here, and I'll select add or drop classes. I will choose my registration term and click continue. And it is a little bit slower right now because I'm working in the test system, but for students, it's not slow. I have previously registered for a class because I have been giving some trainings this week. So when it comes up, it shows my currently registered class. It has a week at a glance schedule here. And then I also have the option to search for more classes up above here. When a student comes in for the first time for a term and has not registered before, they will not see these 2 panels down here. They're just going to see the search information until they've selected a course. So we have our traditional search options here, similar to what students had before. There's a couple of small differences. One is that if a student is wanting to do a search for all classes, all subjects, but they only want online classes or first block classes, they used to have to select every subject in order to get all classes. Now they just have to leave it blank, and that's going to return all of the classes. So that is a really nice change. I think that was super confusing to students before. Otherwise, these work pretty much the same, except that you can now type the start of a subject and select it that way. Or you can just click and it'll bring up the full list and you can scroll through. So either of those options work. You also have an Enter CRNs tab. So if a student is trying to register for a closed course and they have an override, they would do that from this tab. Or if they've just been given a specific CRN and don't want to go through the hassle of searching for the course, they can do that. Students who have created a trial schedule will have that and have sent it to their shopping cart. It will show up here on this plans tab. They can just click this add all button. It's going to move all their courses down into their summary here, and they can submit to register. And then once a student is registered, their courses will show up here up top. And this is a replacement of like their concise schedule that they had before. So I'm going to click back over here on Find Classes and just show you briefly what it looks like whenever I register. So I'm going to search for a religious studies course. I can either click the search button or just hit the enter key on my keyboard, and that's going to bring up my search results. There's a lot of information here. So anything, especially if you're on a smaller screen, I'm on a pretty wide screen right now, but if there's ever hidden information, if you hover over it, it's going to show you all of the information for that course. You can also always click on the title of the course and a little pop-up with a lot of information will show up here. There are some nice features like this example. It will tell a student before they try to register that there's a time conflict here. So they'll know, oh, that course isn't going to work for me. I don't think this isn't a good search option, but I'll show you in a minute what it looks like for classes that have lectures and labs that have to be taken together. If they're linked, there's an improvement there as well. So I am going to just select this Religion 100 course. I'm going to click add. It's going to move it down into my summary, but you'll see it has a pending status. And then it also moved it into my schedule, but it has the kind of tentative lines on it. So I know it's not successful yet. And it doesn't have the green check mark yet. So to successfully register for the class, I do have to click submit. I'm going to take a minute to think. It is really important for students to understand that until the status for the class in this area right here reflects what their end goal is for the class, it's not complete. So if they're trying to drop and this still says registered, then they know their action has not gone through, or if they're trying to register and it still says pending, then it's important to know they're not fully registered for that course just because it's in the summary. All right, so I'm going to pull up a biology course. So Biology 100 has both lectures and labs. It has an indicator here that it is linked. So there is another section that I have to take with this one. So I can click this View Linked button, and it is going to show me for that particular section that I clicked View Linked on, what other classes I can take with that. So for that particular section, there's only one lab that goes with that. And I can just select this Add All button, and it's going to move both the lab and the lecture into my summary. And then I'm also going to show you here what happens when I click Submit, because I should not meet the requirement for this course. So it's going to come up and it's going to tell me that there's an error. If there happen to be multiple errors for this course, let's say I don't meet the major requirement, I don't meet the prerequisite, and it requires permission, all of those error messages are going to come up at once. So a student knows all the barriers that they have to clear in order to be able to register for that class. I don't know how you all feel about that, but for us, that's really great. We would regularly have a student who would clear one barrier, try to register, and then realize they had another one. So this should be a really good improvement. It also will tell them exactly which CRN, which section the error is associated with. And then obviously it highlights the courses down here. So if they were registering for 5 different courses, they would know which ones had errors, which ones were successful, and be able to move forward from there. So I am just going to click submit again to get these removed from my summary. It's also the case that if I, just logged out of registration, when I come back in, any courses that had errors or were pending would no longer be in my summary. So they only stay there while you're actively working in registration. So I'm going to save that. I do want to show you, because I know a lot of our students do use the trial schedule builder. So nothing on that side is changing. They will use it the same way they always have. It's only after they click the add to shopping cart button that things change slightly for them. So when they click add to shopping cart, it is actually going to redirect them to this page here. It'll actually have a pop-up within the trial schedule builder system that lets them know, hey, you're going to be sent over to our new registration system. These are the steps you have to take to complete your registration. So it does give them the instructions there. I don't know how many students will actually read that, but we tried to get that information out in front of them. So they will choose their term and click continue, and then they will need to select the plans tab in order to see their plan and register. So I can click add to add just individual courses from my trial schedule, or I can click add all to move all of them down here, and then click the submit button to register. once I click submit to register, it's going to go through the same processing to check for errors as it would have if I just added the courses individually by doing a search. So you'll see here, COM 115 actually has multiple errors. I have a time conflict and I don't meet the prerequisite. And then I also have an error message for my Criminology 210 course. So it's really helpful to be able to get all of that information. I will show you just quickly down here. You can hide obviously those error messages. I'm going to remove those from my summary real quick. Right down here, you can see the schedule. This is like a week at a glance schedule. It's a little bit prettier than the one we have now. If you click on schedule details, it'll give you what the equivalent is of their details schedule that they had before. And then, like I said before, you can click on schedule and options up here and view the concise schedule information. There is a print icon so the student can print their schedule out. We are working on in production getting the email icon set up so that students could email their schedule to themselves or to others. That is still in progress, but coming hopefully within the next month or so. And I think that's kind of all I want to show you about this page. One other thing I guess that I will share just in case you ever get questions, you can minimize or maximize any of these sections using these little icons here. So if you ever talk to a student who's like accidentally hidden something, that could be where they're running into issues or having questions. I'm going to click back to my home page here. And just briefly show you the active registrations and history. So from here, I can view any of my past schedules from fall 2009 and forward, which is when we switched to Banner. So all of that information will be in there. So I can select that schedule. It's going to show me the concise schedule information up here. It will show me the week at a glance down here, or I can also click to view the detail schedule. Anywhere that you see that the course title is highlighted like that, you can click on it and it will bring up the course details for that course for that term, just in case that's helpful information for you to have. And then there's this active registrations tab, which shows every in progress ungraded course that a student is registered for. So it has fall, spring, it would have summer courses if I was registered in summer. As soon as the courses are graded, they'll drop off here and they will be on the transcript instead. Faculty and advisors have access to the search for classes and browse course catalog link. The search for classes is just a view. You cannot add from here. So everything is the same, except that you don't have a column for the add button. So otherwise it's going to look the same as what a student sees. So all of the information should be in the same order, just you don't have an add column. And then the browse course catalog is really helpful if you're looking up maybe a course description or trying to get prerequisite information about a course and not a specific section. It's similar, the search options are a little bit less obviously, but otherwise it looks the same. We do know that we have learned that many of our academic departments were using the class schedule search in the old system to gather information or just do a quick view of courses in their departments. And there is some information that's not as easily accessible on the new add or search for classes page. So you should have, if you are a department head or an administrative assistant in a department, you should have received an email recently giving you information on a new report that we've written that has all the information you could get on the previous class schedule search results that will hopefully fulfill whatever needs were unfulfilled by this new system. I think I'm going to stop sharing there, and if there are any questions, I do want to share that we do have documentation out on the knowledge base that Christy was showing. So if you go out there and you search for how to register, you'll see some different documentation we've written, just basic how to use the system and how to register like by using the trial schedule builder. We've added steps on there that show the pieces in the new system that you have to complete to register. If there's ever anything that's coming up regularly or that you feel like students are wondering about and there's not documentation for it out there, please let us know. We want to make sure that we have documentation available to students and faculty and staff who want it, so that they don't have to wait for us to be available or contact us. We want you to have the information that you need to help students.
Okay, thank you, Shannon. I think that there's a couple of questions in the chat that people have come up with. I'm going to go through a few news items, and then I'm going to open it up for questions. So if you can kind of review those and look at them, you can be ready to talk about those. Here's a couple of news items for you guys that are related to technology. You might remember from last time that there is a new student engagement software platform that Tara Benson is implementing with her team. Her goal was to get that up by March. We have had a little bit of a struggle with the vendor to do that, and I think their new target is June. And as you probably know, student retention, one of the highest factors for student, or most important factors for student retention, is engagement in the campus community, which student organizations are a big part of that. And we know how important that is, and we're working with Tara and her team to get that up and going. She thinks it'll be June. That's probably about right, because we're pretty close to the end of that process. Another thing we talked about last time was the Title III grant and the application that we call EASY, which is something I know Kelly Wood is on this talk, and this is 90% of the stuff that Kelly and her team have done. We have done a little bit of it, and I want to show you real quick kind of what the web application is that we rolled out in spring of 22. This is a mock-up, so it's not real student data. Just to kind of give you an idea of what this looks like. Basically, this kind of looks like a mix and match between advisee list and advising notes. And you can see on here that success coaches can bring up their student information and look at them and look at different risk factors that may make it to where a student is not going to succeed in academically or some other way, and can actually kind of filter these lists and reach out to different students for different reasons, help track them, help them figure things out, like some of the account information stuff that Christy was talking about. This is something that the coaches can do. Now, unfortunately, not all students have coaches. I think it would be ideal, and I think Kelly would love it, if we had enough resources for all students to have some coaches, but they can't. But the other thing that we had talked about, that we've kind of been talking about in discussion in the background, is taking some of this information and rolling it into advisee lists or advising notes. So we will have to try to figure out how that's going to work in the future. But as you talk to coaches and Kelly and others around campus, you may see some of this information or have people talk about it. And this is kind of an idea of what you're looking at. Now, you'll notice on here that this is just a mock-up. You'll see that the risk is high for some, medium for some, low for others, and the different things that we have to deal with are in this part of the web page is still being built out. Another thing that I do want to mention quickly is that My Missouri State, we talked about this last time too, My Missouri State is going away in 2024. The support is going away, and we are looking at replacing it with something called Experience from Ellucian, and it's quite a bit different. I just want to show you real quick what a mock-up of that looks like. This is very early stages. This will work in a mobile. It'll replace a mobile app that we have for the campus, and will also be something that will replace My Missouri State itself. These little white squares on here are called cards, and in this way there will be our business partners around campus will probably have cards that they'll be able to manage themselves, so it'll be a much more decentralized process for the portal than what it is now, which we completely control. This obviously is a huge disruption for the campus. This is just a preliminary announcement to let you guys kind of know what's going on. There will be much, much more information about this later. As we get closer to rolling this out, I'm hoping that Ross will invite me back so I can give you some more information on it. But you'll be seeing lots of emails and seeing this in a lot of different areas as well. Another thing I just want to mention briefly is that we are investigating moving some of our servers to a cloud provider. This means nothing to you. You won't notice any difference at all. But what you will notice is that a lot of our team will be working a lot harder to try to get things moved. It'll be a huge project for IT. You won't notice any differences on your side, but you will notice that we'll be less responsive to doing requests and stuff. So we'll get more information on that as we go. We're in the very, very beginning stages of that. A couple of other things that we've talked about before. There's a change in Blackboard support and training. One of my new systems analysts is Aubrey Larimore Vargas, who was the first line of support or second line of support for Blackboard Learn issues. Of course, those things still go to the help desk like they always have. Aubrey now works for me. So we are working through some training of some distributed user support folks to help support Blackboard Learn better. But you will know that those changes are happening. I don't think that there will be any disruption in the help that you get. It's just a little bit different in the background. And one other thing I do want to mention is that there are a couple of folks in my group that will be retiring at the beginning of June. There are two programmer analysts, which again is not folks that you would normally be talking to or dealing with from my group, but know that they are some of the folks that work in the background to make the magic happen and actually deliver on the promises that I make you guys when I'm in meetings like this. So losing those folks with all their years of experience will be really difficult. We are going to go out and do some new postings on that. And I do want to urge you to watch for those, to talk to your professional contacts or your family or your friends or anybody else that you know in the community who might be interested in working for Missouri State. There is no better way to get good staff than to get word of mouth out there that Missouri State's a great place to work. Computer Services is awesome. They work really well with the advising community. We love them. Brian's great. Whatever it takes to get some folks in here to apply for these jobs so we can take a look at them and try to get some good folks in here. So please watch out for that as we get closer to posting those, which will probably be in about a month. So please keep an eye on that. One last thing I want to talk about before I turn this over to Brian Heaton to talk about the new CMS for web content is that we are always looking out for accessibility issues in our custom software and in our vendor software. So if ever you run into a situation where you have a student who has struggling with a software system and because of accessibility issues, we need to know about it. That's whether it's our stuff or it's a vendor stuff, and you may not even know the difference, and it's okay. You don't have to. Anytime they're on a system and you struggle with that, please let us know. If you know anything about software accessibility, it's a very, very complex topic. A lot of folks aren't real familiar with it and don't do things as well as they should. And we are trying to stay on top of that stuff and report that to the vendors and try to get them to fix things. It's really an uphill slog on that. But if you have a specific instance where a student or faculty or staff has trouble with something, let us know so we can use that as an example of why their software or our software is not up to snuff. So with that, I am going to turn it over to our last presenter. His name is Brian Heaton, and he works in web strategy and development. And recently, they have implemented a new content management system called Omni CMS. And he's going to talk a little bit about how to use that and what it looks like. So Brian, I'm turning it over to you.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, I will start by sharing my screen. So, many of you probably, sorry for the dark room, I turned my lights out and only half of them came back on. So, oh well. Many of you have edited your website in the past through WordPress. As Brian Edmond mentioned, we are transitioning to a newer content management system. Feedback from users thus far has been very, very positive. They've all been very happy. I've had zero ask to go back to the old system, so that's always nice. We are in the process of migrating all WordPress websites over to the new content management system. Our office takes care of everything. We are around 40% done, just 39.5% thereabouts. done. That's 440 of the 1,100 websites. So there's still a long ways to go, but we are making great progress. We're hopeful that end of summer, end of July, we will be completely done with that process, but it just depends on how many hurdles we hit. So I'll just go through briefly the process you would use as an editor to make updates on the new website. The first thing you would do is navigate to the page where you want to make a change. And let's pretend I'm on this Editor 14 training website. And this website, we need to update this list of best fruit pies and cobblers. So to initiate the edit, and my other light came on, to initiate the edit, you will scroll to the very bottom of the page, and the copyright symbol in front of the Board of Governors link, that copyright symbol is a direct edit link into the content management system for this specific page. So when I click that, it's going to ask me to authenticate, and I can go through all that and get authenticated. And it will take me right to the page. So now the page has several big green buttons. These buttons are the places on the page where you can make edits. This first one, social sharing, you'll utilize that if you're going to be sharing the URL of this page on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or other social platforms. It's simply a set of information that's stored in the page that these websites, social media platforms, that they come back to that URL you've pasted in, and they look for this enhanced information so that it can be displayed on their site in a better manner. It's not required, but it definitely makes the social platform experience a lot better. So we encourage you to utilize that. If you're going to do that for the first time, you have questions, just reach out to the web support help desk and we can assist you. The hero snippet, that's the big photo on typically your home page. And then there's local navigation. Most pages don't have local navigation. And then the last button is the one you'll probably go to nearly every time. And that's edit the main region. So anything in this area that I want to edit, I'm going to get to from doing this edit main region. So now it'll switch to my editor WYSIWYG environment. And you'll see there's some structural layouts that allow you to specify some treatment of the area, like adding a thin border around the content area, or making the background of the content area shaded, or perhaps putting a divider line above the content area. Typically, you're not going to utilize any of those, but when you need to, that's where it is. And so it's real easy to make your update. You just drop down, make your changes, whatever they may be. And in the upper right, there's a big blue button for save. Once it's saved, there's a big green button for publish. And we'll send that off to publish. In a couple seconds, I get a link here that says, hey, go look at this in a new tab. And lo and behold, my updated page is out there. So very, very quick to make an edit on an existing page if you're not doing extended stuff like adding pictures or things of that nature. But if you wanted to add pictures, you could, in your editor, In the upper right here, you go back to pages. This is one important difference between the old system and the new system. In WordPress, you could get to other pages on your site by simply following the links on a page. In this system, OmniCMS, these links will pull in the live website. You're not going to the edit environment for these other pages. So you would follow this link in the upper left that says back to pages, and you navigate your website through this file and folder list. All of the things you used to put in your assets folder, we now call that _ files, because there are 3 primary widgets in the new system. There are components, there are snippets, and there are assets. So to try to remove that confusion, we've transitioned our PDFs and images, the storage location, to be _ files. Now, the only thing magical about the underscore is it's going to always show you this list in alpha order. And so we prefaced files with an underscore in hopes that it would stay closer to the top so that it's easier for you as an editor to find it when you need to make changes. So if I wanted to add an image or a Word document or a PDF to my website, I just go to my files area, and then I can drag and drop. I don't have to navigate and pick. I can drag and drop several files at once if needed, and there it is. Now, when I go to a page and make a link to this, if I've not yet published it, when I publish that update, it will publish the associated asset or file, whether it's a PDF or an image or whatever. But in the preview of the edit, it's going to go to look at the live website to pull that in for the preview. And this PDF isn't on the live website yet. So after you've uploaded binary files, images, PDFs, Word documents, you'll notice it says off to the right here, unpublished. If I simply check mark it, I can then choose publish and send it on its way. It'll only take a few seconds, and now it's out there. So I can come back, I can go back in to my page, my home page. It'll always be called default. I can edit my main region, and now I can highlight make it be a link, and then I can paste in a known URL if I know what it is. Most of the time, you're going to go and select it from a list. So this icon on the right is called the file chooser, and it's going to bring me up. I'm in ZZ Editor Training is the site. I'm in Editor 14, that's me, and there's my files folder. So when I select that, now I see everything that's there. I can select my PDF and then insert that. It's going to bring back this funky number that's called a dependency tag. Every object in the system has a unique identifying number because there may be several web pages called contact information. So the system knows them by this unique number, but it shows me right underneath that what this is actually going to publish as. So I can hit save, and now I've got that link. I can save and publish. And again, I can hit this view and scroll down, and now I have a link to that PDF I uploaded. Now, when you publish out of OmniCMS and it shows you the little box that says, hey, I'm done publishing, here's a link to that new page. Right now, it's immediate. That's because I'm on our development server. Typically, your website is going to publish to our web farm. And our web farm is multiple web servers behind a front-end appliance. So the publication occurs out to a hold area that gets copied to every server in the web farm. And that process takes around 30 seconds. That's the exact same delay that WordPress has when you publish something out of WordPress. So you can go ahead and follow the link. It's probably not going to show you the update. Wait 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, hit refresh, and your update should be there. That's really it in a nutshell. Most editing experience things are much, much simpler and straightforward. There are complicated widgets in this system, so there's no way to get rid of that. But we have our open lab every Friday, 2 to 4, during fall and spring semesters in Cheek 100. During the summer, it's relocated to our offices in Meyer Alumni Center downtown. Reach out to the Web Support Help Desk if you have any questions or need any assistance. That's it, Brian.
Excellent. Thank you for that. I love the way it looks and works. It's a lot more intuitive than the other sessions. So I do totally disagree with your list of best pies and cobblers, but we can take that up later. So
You can't beat apple.
I know. Well, I don't know. I disagree, but anyway.
Strawberry should actually be after pumpkin, but otherwise, yeah.
Okay, so Ross, we're right close to time, but we might have time for a few questions, or do you want to handle those afterwards, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. I think we can take a few questions right now since we've got a couple minutes late. And I know some people may have to jump off a little early if they've got a commitment at 1, but let's go ahead and take a couple questions now.
Okay, I know Christy had trouble with her internet a minute ago because of the storm. So, but I think she's back on. And the first one was for her. Christy, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, since I got kicked off with the power, I lost the chat history, but I believe the question was regarding why do some students have an @live.missouri.state.edu account and some have a @missouri.state.edu account. And the answer to that is just a matter of timing. When we first rolled out emails using Office 365, Microsoft emails, we did have students email accounts different than faculty and staff, and they were @live.missouri.state.edu. Newer students in the last, I think, a couple of years don't have @live. They are issued @missouri.state.edu accounts, and their BearPass login IDs distinguish them from faculty and staff because there is an S at the end of those. So students can have either @live.missouri.state.edu if they've been here for more than a couple of years, or newer students will not have @live. They will have @missouri.state.edu.
Okay, thank you, Christy. Shannon, I think you said that you had answered one in chat.
Sorry, I did answer it in chat, but it was about our videos that we had and whether they have been updated. We have found that those were not heavily used, the ones that our office produced. So we have not yet updated them, but I was telling Angela that if there are any that you do regularly use, that you know your students are using, that you would like redone, please let me know which ones those are, and we can look at getting those updated.
I can take that question as well. For graduating students, alumni, I think at this time keep their emails indefinitely, but I don't know if that will be changed in the future. But for now, alumni keep their email.
Well, I think, Brian, were there any other questions that you saw in chat?
I didn't, but I wasn't looking real closely. I just couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah, I don't think there are any more. I tried my best to keep up with it as well. I don't think there are any other questions. Again, a special thank you to Brian, Christy, Shannon, and Brian for joining us today for the advisor forum and presenting this information on technology updates. Brian, you can absolutely count on me to invite you to future advisor forums because it's so important for us to know what's coming and for you all to have the opportunity to help us learn so we can let our students know. Thank you, participants, for being here today for our final advisor forum for spring 2022. If you have suggestions for advisor forum topics for fall 2022, you can either email me directly those suggestions at rosshawkins@missouristate.edu, or in Inside Missouri State on Tuesdays. There's a link that you can click on that says ideas for future advisor forum topics. So feel free to use that online form as well. Again, thank you all for being here. I appreciate all of you taking time to join us today. Have a wonderful, rainy, stormy afternoon. And I look forward to seeing you all back in fall 2022 for our next Advisor Forum series. Thank you.